Hey, let's get into factoring polynomials. So I went ahead and wrote down some notes. So if you want to pause and copy this down, then I'll talk about it. Okay, so we are factoring polynomials when the leading coefficient is greater than 1. The degree is 2. That's your highest exponent. So remember, the degree means your highest exponent. And the number of terms is 3. It's a trinomial. And here is our standard form of a quadratic, or this type of polynomial, ax squared plus bx plus c. So remember, when we factor these, we look for the sum of b, and then we find the product of c. Well, we're still doing the same thing, but since we have this a here, or a different number here, we've got to factor that in. So here are our steps. We are going to use the X box method. So you're going to multiply the a and the c. So a times c. So it's the coefficient of the x squared and then our constant together. Okay. Number 2, find the factors that have a sum of b and a product of ac. And we're going to use this X box to help us organize our work. So I have this X here. The a times the c goes on top. That's your product. And the b is your sum. And it goes on the bottom of the X. And then we use our box like we were doing before, where we have the ax squared here and we have our c here. And then those are our 2 factors. So let's go ahead and get into our first example. So we have 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So I know that this is my a, this is my b, and this is my c. So we have the x first. Okay, the x is going to have AC on top. So 2 times 3. So a times c. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 3. So that's a product. And then the bottom has the sum, which is b. So what has a product of 6 and a sum of 5? Well, 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 plus 3 is 5, so it's 2 and 3. So these are the numbers that'll go in the diagonals of our box. Okay, so we know that this is always the ax squared, and then this is our c, and so we're going to put here 2x and 3x. And now we are going to factor out. So let's look. This is a little different from before because we were just able to put x and x. But x and x won't make 2x squared. So now we are looking to factor out this column. So if we have 2x squared and 2x, they both have 2 in common, and they both have x in common. So it's 2x. 3x and 3. Factor those, and you have 3. So it's 2x plus 3. And then we need to factor the row, 2x squared and 3x. And the 2 and the 3 don't have anything in common, but the x squared and x have an x in common. So that's the GCF. And then 2x and 3 have nothing in common, so we just put 1 out there. So then our factors, 2x, that would be a plus 3 because there's not a negative, and then an x plus 1. Okay, so that is the factor. If you want to check these using the calculator, an easy way to do that would be go to your y equals, put your original in, and then put this one in, and they should have the matching table. So I'll show you that right now. So 2x squared plus 5x plus 3, that's in y1. And then in y2 is parentheses 2x plus 3, parentheses x plus 1. Okay, and it should be the same graph. My graph is kind of crazy right now because I have other things on there. But if you look at your table, I need to turn the plot off and zoom 6. And only see 1. So I go to my table. Oh, I see another one now it's red. Okay, so now I go to my table, and now they're the exact same. So that tells me that I did it right. By the way, last week I messed up a few times. So we're going to see if I can do this without messing up. Thanks, Halia, for reminding me of all my mistakes, and Kate and Grota, too. Thank you. Thank you. Let's look at the next page in my journal. Okay, so here are a few more examples. We're going to work through these. So we have 3x squared plus 16x plus 5. Okay, before I want to do factoring, I always want to look and see if I can factor anything out of here. So 3x squared, 16x, and 3. There's nothing I can factor out. So then I go ahead and proceed with my X box. Okay, so it's 3 times 5 on top. So 3 times 5 is 15. So we're looking for a product of 15 that gives us a sum of 16. Okay, and that would come from 15 times 1. Because if I do 15 times 1, that gets 15. If I do 15 plus 1, that gets 16. Because remember, this is the sum, and this is your product. All right, so let's move on to the box. So this is 3x squared, and this is 5. And then I have 15x and 1x. Now I'm going to factor out. All right, so let's look at this column right here. 3x squared and 15x. They have 3 in common, and they also have an x in common, so this is 3x. 1x and 5. They have nothing in common, so we're just putting in 1. GCF is 1. 3x squared and a 1x. The only thing they have in common is the x, so I can factor out the x. 15x and 5. The only thing I can factor out of there is a 5. All right, and I don't know how to cancel that. How do I tell it to go away? It's Quinlan. You know it's a spammer. Okay. Let's see. All right, so then this answer would be the 3x plus 1 and x plus 5. And again, you can check that by putting it in your calculator. And so clear that out, clear that one out. Let's do 3x squared plus 16x plus 5. And then 3x plus 1, x plus 5. And then look at your table. The table is the exact same, so we did it right. All right, number 3. Let's look and see. Well, we have 2x squared, 10x, and 12. Before I want to factor using the a times c, I'm going to look and see, can I factor anything out? It's all even, so I can. I'm going to factor out a 2. So this will be x squared plus 10, 5x. I almost got myself. Plus 6. Okay, so on that, now this is just like what we've already been doing. What gives you a sum of 5 and a product of 6? That'd be 2 and 3. So we have x squared, 6. We have 2x and 3x. So then that's x times x. 3x, 6, that'd be a 3. Then this would be a 2. So then we still have the 2 out front. So this is 2, and then x plus 3, x plus 2. So we didn't have to do that the same way. Just make sure you factor out the GCF. And you can check that in your calculator too. I'm not going to do that. All right, here's 2 more. Let's go ahead and do number 4. We have 3x squared minus 5x plus 2. I don't have anything that's alike, so I can't do that. But I can look and see. We want product of a times c, so 3 times 2 is 5. And a sum of negative 5. So what would give you a product of 5? 1 times 5, but if you add those, that won't work. Because it's supposed to be 6. That's why. I messed up. All right. So then this would be 6 is 1 times 6. If I do, to get a sum, but a product that's positive, they both have to be negative. So what about -3 and -2? -3 times -2 is positive 6. -3 plus -2 is -5. So then I'm going to use my box. So this is 3x squared. This is 2. This would be -3x, and this would be -2x. And then I start factoring. So here, this column right here would be a 3x. Here, -2x and 2. Since the leading one is negative, we're going to do a -2. Anytime that leading one, so see how this one's on top of that one? This one's first, so that's your leading one. We're going to take out a negative. Okay, and then over here, can't take anything out here, so it's a 1, but really 1x. I should put an x there. And then -3x and 2. That would be, since this is leading, that'd be a -1. Okay, so then we have 3x minus 2 and x minus 1. And you'd want to check that in the calculator. So let's go to, we have 3x squared minus 5x plus 2. And then 3x minus 2. And then x minus 1. Okay, and they match up, so it's good. Okay, number 5. 5x squared plus 2x minus 3. So we can't factor anything out here, so we're going to have to do the x box. A times c, that's your product. So 5 times a -3 is -15, and a sum of 2. So we're looking for a product of -15 and a sum of 2. So we know that one of them is going to have to be negative, but it's going to be the smaller one is going to be negative. So this would be 5 and -3. Because 5 times -3 is -15, but 5 minus 3 is 2. Okay. Box. So we have 5x squared and the minus 3. We have a 5x and we have a -3x. Okay, and then factor out. So if I factor the column, 5x squared and 5 would be 5x. -3x and -3. Since that's your leading one, we got to do negative. And then these have nothing in common except for x. And these have nothing in common except for 1, right? So let's see, this would be 5x minus 3 and x plus 1. Okay, let's double check it. So I have 5x squared plus 2x minus 3 and 5x minus 3, x plus 1. Go to your table. And it's the exact same, so we did it right. All right, last one. The last one is 2x squared minus 3x minus 20. All right, let's look and see, can we factor anything out? We have 2, we have 3, we have -20, -3, nothing. So we can't factor, so we got to do the AC, the box, the x box. So 2 times a -20 be -40. And then a sum of -3. So what gets 40 or -40? So like 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, 5 times 8. So what about 5 and 8? But which one's going to be negative? Because our sum is negative, then our bigger number is going to be negative. So if I multiply 5 times a negative 8, I'll get negative 40. And if I add 5 and negative 8, I get negative 3. So this would be 2x squared, and this would be negative 20. This would be 5x, and this is negative 8x. All right, so then we factor our column. So 2x squared and negative 8x. That would have to be a 2x. 5x and a negative 20. That would be 5. Right? They don't have anything in common except for x. And these, since that leading term is negative, we're going to do negative. What goes into 8 and 20? What's the biggest number? That'll divide that. 2, but the bigger one is 4, so minus 4. So then we have 2x plus 5, then x minus 4. Okay, you can check that in your calculator. All right, bye.